welcome to the second part of our introduction how-to video on the CDVI Digiway automatic door opener. Now, in our last video, top corner there, we showed you how to commission the tensioner on the door so it knows how much to shut it by. We looked at how to set the door limit so it knows how much to open it by, and then we obviously, of course, we calibrate the door we're open and closed 5 times. And in the end, it gives us a situation where the door can open automatically. Brilliant. Now, we discussed as well the fact that we could put sensors into here, so it detects the presence of a person, it automatically opens the door and lets you through. Now, what we're looking at today is how we integrate an access control system into the door itself. So that way you're going to have to use a credential such as maybe face or card or fingerprint or PIN number, whatever you're going to use. You put that credential in there and that opens the door. In addition to that as well, we're also going to see how to integrate a Maglock into here as well. Because even though we're going to use a credential such as a face or a card to open the door, there's still nothing stopping anyone just pushing the door and letting themselves in. So we want to put a Maglock in there so we keep the door secure and that Maglock is released when that credential is acknowledged into the system and also opens the door as well. So let's get into the first part and see how we wire in an access control terminal into the Digiway. Okay, so before we get started, it is worth noting that this thing is fully powered down. So we've disconnected all power from the device before we start inputting any cables in here. Now, to the right-hand side, you can see here, CDVI very conveniently labelled the numbers of which actual terminals do what. And there's only 2 that we're interested in here today, and that is numbers 15 and 16. As you can see there, that is for the command, and it's showing a button of some sort. So essentially, when that circuit is made, that's when it's going to open the door. So we're only using 2 wires to go back to our access control device. So as I mentioned, it is 15 and 16. So 16 essentially is going to be our command, and then the 15 is going to be essentially our ground going back. So I've got my 2 cables here, and what we're going to use is 15 and 16 as I mentioned. And I'm just using white and blue in this situation. So let's get these wired in. Okay, so 15 and 16 are wired in now. So we're going to look at the other end of the cable going back to our access control terminal. So here's our 2 wires coming back, our white and blue, that's running off back to our Digiway. Now, if you look at our access terminal itself, which we're using today, of course, we've got our power to power the device. We'll come back to that one in a moment. And the 2 cables we're interested in today is on our locking mechanism here, and that's our red and white wire, which, as we can see by the little sticker they put on there, is a normally open circuit. And then the other one we need as well is our common, which is essentially our ground. That's our yellow and white. So essentially, what we're going to be doing is red and white and yellow and white, thus so. So what we'll do, we'll get these hooked up now. So as we can see, they're hooked up now. So we've got our blue wire, which is coming from our Digiway, which is going into the red and white. That is a normally open circuit. It is worth noting that if we used the white and purple wire, that would be a normally closed circuit. So it would be providing a constant circuit going back to the Digiway. That means it will just open the door immediately. We don't want that. We only want to open the door when the circuit is then made, i.e. it's a normally open circuit. It sees a face, it closes the circuit, therefore send a command back to Digiway and open the door. And then we've also got our common wire, which goes back into common. However, it is worth noting this has to go back to ground. In other words, the negative supply of the power. Let's put the power in there. Okay, so now that end is made up, we've got our power input. Of course, it is worth noting it is recommended this power goes back to a 12-volt 2-amp power supply, independent from the Digiway itself. And again, you might want to also put a backup battery system in there as well. So we've got power going to actually power the terminal itself, which is fine. And then into that ground wire, not only is the power, but we've got the ground circuit going to the terminal, back up to the Digiway, and then back down through the normally open circuit. So let's get these powered on and let's just see what happens when we apply power and a credential is used to open the door. Okay, so I've applied power to the Digiway now, so that's just powered up. I have just put power supply into our face terminal. It is worth noting I have already configured the face terminal with my face in there already. If you are interested in how to commission a face terminal, go to the top corner there. There's another video there showing you how to set up the face terminal. So now that's set up. If I use my face now to open the door, let's see what happens.
Thank you.
There we go. That's now using my face, and that's now gave me access through the door. Oh, can't my face again then, hence why it's saying the word thank you. So that's all working. That's fantastic. So that's using my face, and that let me through the door. We'll just do that one more time. Point it towards myself.
Thank you.
Got the click, and therefore that has now opened the door. Now for the next bit, a maglock. Because even though I'm using my face to open the door, we'll just wait for that door just to shut again in a moment. There is nothing stopping someone from actually just pushing or pulling the door open if there's a handle on there. So let's just have a look at that. So I just push it. As we can see, yeah, I can just open the door freely. So I don't have to use a credential. So I want to secure the door. So we're going to put a maglock in there. Let's see how we do that. Okay, just as previous, we have powered down the Digiway. So you can see there's no power there at all, which is great. And again, if we look to the right-hand side, we've got our wiring diagram guide for which terminals do what. As we can see, we've got 15 and 16 over there, which is going to our access control terminal, our face terminal we're using. So the next bit we're interested in is the maglock, which is these set of terminals here, which are the ones just located there, as we can see. So if we look at 21, that is 12-volt power out straight to our ELS, our electronic lock, which is fine. So that one is fairly straightforward. We can just put our red wire, which is what we always use for 12-volt positive, straight into there. So let's get that one wired in now. Okay, so we've got our 12-volt red wire out, which is going to go to the positive on our maglock. Then next to it, we've got our ground wire, which goes to electronic lock. But if we do that, it's just going to provide a constant supply to the maglock. We don't want that. We want to be able to switch the maglock, switch it on and off. And this is what these terminals are here. This is where we've got a normally closed circuit and we've got a normally open circuit. So we know with a maglock, it's a normally closed circuit. However, we have to get negative power from terminal 22 up to 17. We need to bridge these two together. So for that, we're just going to use a little loop wire, thus so. So now we've bridged 22 to 17. We now want to use the ground wire that goes to the negative supply of our maglock out of number 19, because that number 19 is our normally closed circuit. So if we just take the cover off our maglock, so we can get to the terminals inside. And there we have our red and black, which will go back to our Digiway. So we want to use the red terminal into positive, because that's the one we wired up. So that goes into there. And then finally, our negative terminal. Okay, now that they're wired in, as we can see, we've got the green light on our maglock, and we can see that's shut, so that's not going anywhere. We do, however, need to program the system to tell it that it's actually using an electronic maglock. If we don't, it's not going to work. I'll show you right now. If I get the face terminal that we used earlier on, and I show my face into it.
Thank you.
Yeah, the door's going to open, but look, that light is still green. I cannot open that maglock. It has stayed shut because the system doesn't know it's using a maglock. So what we need to do is go into settings and tell it it's a maglock. So therefore, when my face is recognized, it will actually release the maglock itself. Okay, so just in the previous video, to get into the settings, we have to press and hold the OK button for 5 seconds. Okay, so we're into our menu. We want to go down to configuration. Click OK. It's asking number of doors. We've only got the one door, so don't need to worry about that. Go down. It's asking about the electro lock. So let's go into there. So we go down. It's not a strike lock. It's a magnet lock. Click OK. And that is done. Now, as we go back, once we've got other settings we need to look at, in particular, our advanced settings. And it's asking about our electro lock time. So let's go into there. Now, as you can see, by default, it is set to half a second, meaning it's going to release the Maglock for half a second. In my opinion, that might not be enough. So I want to increase this time. So I've set that now to 5 seconds, meaning when the command is received to open the door, it's going to drop power to the Maglock for 5 seconds. In my opinion, that's more than enough. Click OK. That's done. Go back down. Very bottom. And we'll have an option there to exit the menu. Okay, so let's give this a go. We've got a green light on there saying power is to the Maglock. As we can see, that won't budge. That's secure on there. And now we use the face terminal to open the door. And let's see if it drops the power to the Maglock as we need it to do.
Thank you.
Power's dropped. I can move that bar. And the door has opened. Therefore, it's released the Maglock. And it's opened the door. Red light back on, telling me power is now reapplied after 5 seconds. That bar goes back on. That is now sealed and shut. I cannot remove that. And in a moment, that door, as we can see, is now closing again. So there we go, everyone. That is how you commission a face terminal or an access control terminal and a Maglock into the CDVI Digiway automatic door opener. Now, I know some people might be thinking, well, I've used onboard device relay onboard this, so surely if someone breaks this off the wall, would that release the Maglock and open the door? Well, no, if you smash it off, it won't do, because don't forget we are using what's called a normally open circuit. So the circuit has to be made for it to actually trigger the door and obviously open Maglock. Now, if someone was to bridge those two wires, then yes, of course, that would therefore open the door and release the Maglock because it received the command to essentially open it. So instead, of course, you don't have to use onboard device relay. You could use something like a secure module. Image on screen there for you now, which is what you install on the secure side of the building, and the face terminal connects back by its RS-45 communication cable, so it sends a command to the actual secure module to open the door. Again, each device would have its own power supply and battery backup in the event there's a power failure. Hopefully you liked the videos, the first part to this one and the second part today. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. Leave a like on both. That would be great. Don't forget to subscribe. You'll see more videos coming. And of course, if you hit that bell icon, you'll be alerted to load any new videos.